Welcome everyone to our inaugural vino and voting, beer and ballots for our Colorado State election, especially for the city of Denver. This is my friend Caitlin Trent. I've known Caitlin actually for at least
since we were 14.
Yeah. We're 32
Forever.
now.
Oh my god.
And our birthdays are the same. And we were both in the same Spanish senior seminar in college. And we both
went to Argentina together.
Lived in Argentina together. And we never hung out until
for some reason, we're not totally sure why, but we were in Santa's crew together.
We were in
Santa's
crew, which was a dance crew in high school, that's important. That's gonna go on my gravestone. So thank you for joining me, Caitlin. Caitlin, what do you work in public policy? What is it? I was like, she's in public policy.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true.
For the last several years, I've been working with the Colorado Immigrant Rights Coalition. Hopefully, they're okay with me saying this. Circ Action Fund, which does a lot of progressive people of color electoral work and getting out the vote for people of low propensity voters that are people of color, as well as endorsing folks who we think are going to get into office and do the right thing, which is far and few between, I feel like.
Turns out that's super hard.
Yeah, super hard to do, actually.
Who knew?
The machine is real.
It is
very real.
Very real. So thank you for, I just impulsively wrote you on Instagram one day and was like, can you help me vote? So, yeah, the reason why that I reached out to Caitlin is like, oh God, you guys, if anybody's been conscious in the past, what do you think?
Decade.
5 years? Well, at least for sure 5 years.
Yeah, at least since, I feel like a lot of people woke up like 2016.
When we accidentally elected a reality star, things took a drastic turn.
Yes.
So I think that became shockingly clear to me that like we don't know what we're doing when we're voting, but this is not a federal, I don't even know how to ask it, a presidential election. This is a blah blah.
It's an off year. So most people don't vote. These elections this year, years like this year, no one effing votes except for people that are 65 and older.
Yeah.
Yo, like our systems are the way they are because 65-year-olds plus vote every fucking time. I can cuss, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They vote every fucking time and y'all don't. Like people our age do not vote in off-year elections.
That's why we're trying something young today, right now, even as elder millennials.
Yeah, I'm like youngish.
We're doing something youngish.
I have foot and back problems, but it's fine.
Yeah, once you get in your 30s, things start surprising you every day. But that is something that I want to talk about. First things first, right now, for every state, I think there's a lot of states have elections like this right now.
Yes.
But specifically in Colorado, but it does seem like this is a trend, turnout is bad. It's really bad.
So actually, we just looked.
It's not bad, however.
For 65-year-old plus, they're killing it. But as of
blam, blam.
yesterday, it was a little over 8% of people in the city of Denver had voted and cast their ballots, and Tuesday is the deadline. So like not looking good. Like most people are not doing it. They're setting this one out per usual.
But what we need is for you to not sit this voting out. So the reason why, like I wanted to know also like why are these, because it seems like there's a lot of like, I don't even, primaries, like there's all these different names and flavors of voting things that come up and it just seems excessive. But it's not, like it's super duper important because like these are the elections that like actually affect you as your everyday life as an everyday citizen of blah blah.
Blah blah.
Denver specifically.
Yeah, so the thing for where I've gotten, so working in politics and where I've landed is that actually local elections are going to affect you way more than voting at the federal level for example, president. Like your everyday life, it's local elections, which it's going to impact your everyday life and how it functions. But those are the elections that most people are not voting for. So it's like everyone turns out for a presidential year for some vote in federal government. Yeah, it's sexy,
it's shocking. Their news is always talking about it, like you want to contribute, but these are the things that are not sexy, but they are very shocking if you don't vote.
Yeah,
so.
Once you like dig into the shit.
Yes, so I'm so happy that you're here with me. So grab your vino and let's start voting. Get your beer and get your ballots, and we're gonna go through it. I did have one question. What is the best way to navigate, like what the actual fuck is going on?
Yeah. So reading the ballot, I think, is like really inaccessible. Like even for someone like me who like has worked in these circles and
reading
like
the ballot,
law certificate, like
honestly, like reading the
forget
ballot,
it.
you start reading it and you're like, well, I thought English was my first
yeah,
language.
no. So where I suggest people go is first, if they have organizations that they know that they trust in specific issue areas. Like, for example, I looked at 9 to 5's ballot guide for a lot of the ballot initiatives because they work on housing justice and economic justice, and a lot of these ballot issues have to do with housing justice for Denver. So like looking to organizations that you trust and are in the fight and are like deep in the weeds of doing this work for what they're saying to vote for or not vote for. If you don't have those organizations, then look to people that you trust, that you're like, hey, I feel like you know more than me, let me ask you some questions. But the big thing is like, ask people that you trust questions and don't feel embarrassed about it, because the ballot, I think, is completely incomprehensible, just reading it to know if it's a good thing or not.
Yeah, well, I feel like it's also like low-key, high-key designed that way. Because like,
yeah,
maybe that's why voter turnout
sucks.
has been historically
Real
so bad. Well, thank you. You're my friend that's doing that. And I'm going to tag like your resources and everything in the live in this video. I don't know. Good luck. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens at this point.
We're winging
I'm
it.
just glad we made it on time-ish. Almost.
Almost on time.
Almost on time. So everybody, hopefully you have a beverage. We will be drinking for sure when we start each initiative, and intermittently in between, because why not? It's Friday. Am I in the first? Yeah, okay, I have my first one. So I guess, one more thing, housekeeping rules. I guess one is like both of our political views. I guess if there's an appropriate word for it, it would be progressive-ish.
Sure, that's a label.
There's like not, like it's like definitely not Repubs.
For sure, not that.
And Democrats, like,
I have some issues with the Dems.
We got a lot of empty promise. Honestly, the Democrats remind me of a lot of ex-boyfriends that I had. How many times have you been told
men in
you've
general,
been
really.
sold the world just to find out they didn't mean it?
Oh,
So
you just put a rainbow flag up and didn't mean anything.
yeah, they're like BLM. Don't call.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. That, and then, also, I decided, just to keep this fun and exciting for all 5 of my viewers, that I gave each initiative in Denver and Colorado points. I call them petty points. It's a petty point system. So this includes petty Murphys, petty labels, petty pans. If it's a really petty initiative, it's getting ranked, which shockingly, some of these will surprise you on some of their petty point scores, because dang, politics, they mean
It's petty. It is very petty.
So petty. And why not make it funny if it's gonna be so petty? Okay, here we go. First things first. If you have your ballot, or go grab your ballot, or just listen, or not. Amendment 78, we're starting off strong. Let's go through it.
So these are the first ones we're going to go through are Colorado. So if you're not in Denver, this is for you. This is for everybody in Colorado. These are the first ones on the ballot for everybody, no matter where you're living in Colorado. So
thank you.
Amendment 78, I think is super confusing. It's like and actually, like, my mom voted the wrong way because she's a lawyer, dude. She's a lawyer, and she submitted her ballot, and then I talked to her, and she was like, what? I didn't know. So again, like, just reading it is fucking confusing. Do research. Talk to people.
Mommy trend.
Yeah, mom trend. So anyway, so this is basically saying that custodial money, the way it's worded, it's like, more government transparency is a good thing, right? For custodial money to be going through an additional process for people to know transparency where the money's going for. That's how it's like worded.
That sounds good.
It sounds good. The dude who like got this on the ballot, he is like a Koch brothers little minion, super uber conservative, that basically the impetus, the motivation was to hold up things like pandemic funding and additional bureaucracy and additional political theater for like, no, we don't want money to go to masks. The way it makes it sound is like that there's no transparency going on with where the money is. However, all of this money already goes through what's called the Joint Budget Committee, which is a bipartisan group of folks, legislators, who have to approve every cent. So I personally am saying no on this because the motivation behind it was basically to tie up funding and not have it go out. And again, like, political theater is the wording that's being used for the other side for people who oppose it. Again, I always look at organizations who are for or against things that I trust. So folks that oppose it are the Working Families Party, who I'm with like 95% of the time. United for New Economy, Color, who does reproductive justice for women of color, Colorado Rising, etc. They're all against this. So I'm personally voting against this amendment.
So I'm gonna vote no. I'm just gonna vote right now. It seems like it just constipates.
Yeah, it's gonna like clog up again for like emergency funding, like, you know, disaster hits and you need to get funding out, and it's not that like it goes into a black box and no one knows. Like Joint Budget Committee has to approve where it's going, but it's like putting another bureaucratic layer into
another hurdle that we don't need after a pandy.
Right, a pandy that we're still dealing with.
After a pandy, I think we learned like some things need haste, and there's already those like checks and balances for that. Okay, Proposition 119. This is also Colorado. Which one is it? Oh, I named this one Third String Tutors. Will you explain?
So this one's controversial in left circles. It's controversial for a few reasons.
I should take a drink.
Yeah, let's take a drink.
Cheers. We made it to one.
So this one's controversial because like kids really badly need support and education, and it's like discussing how bad our public school system is, et cetera, et cetera. This is basically adding on an additional program for kids, like supposedly like low income, marginalized communities who need special support. Where it becomes controversial is that instead of funding the public school program, instead of funding the public school system, which is like gutted and desperately needs money.
Just a skeleton of
the
body.
It's a skeleton. Fun fact, by the way, Colorado is ranked 49th. We're right above Alabama, yo. Alabama's 50th. We're 49th for how we pay our teachers, our public school teachers. Like, shameful. So this is not funding public schools. It's creating an entirely separate program outside of the public school system that needs its own bureaucracy. It needs its own administration. And folks that are against this are basically saying, like, yes, we need to supplement students who are struggling, and also like you should just fund the public school system rather than creating like additional vouchers and charter schools, etc., and gutting public schools. So again, there's a big split on this because kids need it, but a lot of people that I trust, orgs that I trust, are voting against it. I'm personally going to vote against it, but there's a split on this one.
I'm going to probably say no because it's like it's the tutors that nobody really...
Third string tutors?
They're the third string, you know? It's not first string, it's not second string. They're creating a whole new just draft. And I think like one thing that I've just learned just in my own like journey of civic duty in the city of Denver is like there's so many resources available to people, but knowing even how to access those resources gets really complicated and like super hard to market. And so like my vision for them is just like they would exist and then nobody would know how to use them, and so it would be you know, it would be like an overly funded, underused
it's like a secret that you need to know the secret in order to even get
they're
access
like, what's
to
the
it.
Password?
Because it's not going through our public schools. It's not going through the public schools.
So it would be a completely different thing, and you would have to know how to find them. So I gave them 2.5 out of 5 petties because we do need the we need the tutors, but we don't need those tutors. We need a separate...
Can we not fund our effing public schools?
We could just fund our schools.
Yo.
We could try that. We could just try that.
Apparently not.
All right. Great job. On to the next one. Cheers. Proposition 120.
All right. As I get more tipsy.
I just have property tax as my notes here, so let's go through it.
So this is a proposition to lower property taxes. Not raise them, but lower them. And
sounds great.
Sounds great. I'm opposing hardcore. So like Denver, for example, has a major housing crisis. A lot of places in Colorado have major housing crisis. Like the mountains, it's out of control housing crisis. The problem is that just by and large, not everybody, but by and large, the folks that are really struggling, it's folks that are renting properties, not who already own properties. Property taxes for wealthy people, cutting those is not going to address the housing crisis, which is like a major, major issue here all over the state. And it's basically, by and large, I feel like giving wealthy folks a tax break, which is not what we need to do. Because again, it's only property owners who are getting this tax cut, and says nothing for oh, all the people that are renting, folks that own like second, third properties and that are landlords, this is like not addressing any of the actual root issues for our housing crisis and for rental costs going up and up and up. So I'm opposing it. Again, Working Families Party, UNE, United for a New Economy, Color, Voces Unidos, and Colorado Rising are all opposing this.
All right, I think I'm gonna do. Oh, also, I think it is like worth like value to mention like the drop in property tax. The rate itself like doesn't even go 0.5%, or it's like just at half of a percent, which is not a remarkable drop.
And and it's for lowering the tax. So it's not even like we're talking about like, oh, like property taxes are going up. Like if you vote against it, it's going to stay.
It's not. It's going to stay the same. It's not going to raise property tax. It's just going to maintain what it is now.
So if you're one of the like 5 millennials who owns a home, congratulations. And
I don't even
sorry.
know. Yeah, that's what I get. You know what? That's what I get for bragging about being one of the like 13 millennials that like that scammed their way into buying a house. I'm gonna vote now. I'm gonna go ahead and vote no on that, because if my property taxes stay the same, I've already lived my life at this rate. I'll be okay. Oh, we did it. Oh, this got 4.7 out of 5 petty pans on the petty point scale. So, again, why?
There's other things I feel like that need to be addressed.
We got other stuff. Okay. So now, cheers. We made it through. Oh, we are
now to Denver. We're now to Denver, y'all. So if you're Colorado and live in Highlands Ranch, sorry, bad for you.
Yeah.
But now we're on to Denver.
Follow Caitlin for your questions, like I did annoyingly. Now you'll work for free on Instagram.
Hey. No, I just spew this shit at all times, so
it's good. Well. Yeah, her stories are very informative, honestly. I steal a lot of them. So now we are on to, I said cover the T, Caitlin. We got a lot of T right now. We basically have 2A through 2D. And my other note was Mayor Hancock's self-esteem issues. So
BT dub.
So
okay,
I think we might need some more wine.
Yeah, I need more wine too. So Mayor Hancock, Denver Mayor Hancock, who's a Democrat, by the way, Democrat.
You will find him if you Google him, telling everybody to stay home during global pandemic from the airport, leaving DIA to go visit his family.
And then, but doesn't apply to him.
During the holidays. So I think, there's I have a conspiracy in my own mind that no one's asked for, that Mayor Hancock wants to have all these, or one in particular, so that when you Google his name, the algorithms change and that part doesn't come up.
No, we'll get there. I do think
we'll get there.
Sure.
Okay, you're right. I got excited.
All right.
Okay. 2A.
So Mayor Hancock wants voters to. So this is like this $450 million worth of bonds for different projects, split into all 5 different proposals, right? Lacey and I.
So does the bonds do? Yeah, so the bonds covers the 2A through 2D, right?
Correct. Or 2E.
Oh God!
Yeah.
Oh my God. We're trying to figure out what bonds are still.
Y'all. Okay, so I was reading about bonds, and I'm still this sounds fake to me. It's just borrowing money that doesn't exist.
It is
yet.
monopoly money.
It's monopoly.
That's
money.
the only thing. So the only thing that I can compare it to is my uncle growing up, Uncle Chuck. He worked at Northwest Bank, which then became Wells Fargo. He had a lot of depressive issues. I think probably because of his job. But that's his personal.
That's fair.
I don't need to blow up the family tea. But he, instead of money or presents, this is my family.
As a 7-year-old, you're like, thank you.
I got bonds for every birthday, including my very first leaving Linda Henderson's womb. I got bonds for my birthday and I got bonds for Christmas. And they were like, don't worry, Lacey, it's better than money. It's bonds.
Better than money.
And it didn't seem that tight when I was little. And then I think around 2017, I was painfully broke, scarily broke, as we all go through. And I needed money so bad. I just remembered, I was like, I have all these shitty bonds. Surely I'm a millionaire now. It's been at least, some of them had been at least 20 to 25 years.
And bonds are better than money.
Yeah.
And bonds, it's in, the monopoly system.
Yeah.
So.
And my uncle's a banker. He loves me. He's not going to do me wrong. And I cashed out on my bonds, and it was not that much money. So I think, bonds, my understanding is like corporations, other governments, China maybe, I don't know. This is just my feeling now. And blah blah investment banks can write these bonds, can loan money to governments at a very, very low interest rate. And the governments are like, don't worry, like when we pay you back, the economy will be better. So
the economy, will grow. Which, to be fair, like it has grown over time. That is true.
Yeah, for sure. It doesn't cost 25 cents to see a movie anymore.
Right.
It's $25
exactly.
now.
So you're like, I feel like you're borrowing against like the future of the economy being better.
But it depends on the amount of time.
Yes.
And as we're seeing right now, like maybe the government's not doing a great job with the economy.
Like I personally think the society.
It seems like the supply chain is having an issue.
But so back to the bond package. The bond package. So Mayor Hancock administration was like, we are going to take $450 million worth of bonds out, which obviously it's going to pay itself back. No worries.
Because it's fake.
But what's important to you all is that it has nothing to do with taxes. Like, you're not having to personally pay for this, right? Like, you're not getting
rich,
taxed.
poor, or in between, you will not be taxed. This has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
So, a lot of these, like, improve, like, the zoo, like Parks and Rec.
Right. Yeah. It's like, sure, we need that.
Yeah, why not?
Denver housing and shelter systems. So I'm saying yes through 2A, 2B, C, and D. It's like, yeah, Denver housing and sheltering system, Denver transportation, parks. It's like, okay, parks and recreation. Like, we also, yeah, like, sure, we probably need that shit. Like, have you seen the roads? Have you seen, like, our parks? Like, sure, let's fund that.
Yeah.
But then we get to E. 2E.
Oh, wait. We need to cheers because I voted for some.
2E.
And then we really, because the mood's about to change for 2E.
So, like, you can talk about the algorithm. You can talk
Okay,
about the
so
algorithm now. This is
2A
the Western Complex.
2A through 2D all got 1 out of 5 petty points because they're fine. There's like not a lot really going on. The bond thing is weird, but other than that, whatever. 2E. This conspiracy that no one asked me for, that I did zero research for.
No, but I think you're right. In the grand scheme.
I think because of the history, the recent history that we've all experienced through the COVID pandemic, and seeing our own elected leadership make very poor decisions while telling their constituents something completely different than their own actions. For example, Denver Mayor Hancock telling everyone to stay home for the holidays, saying, listen, I know it's hard and you want to see your family, but to protect each other, you need to stay home. As he's live on Instagram at the Denver airport, getting ready to travel to go see his family.
Like, when you Google him, that's what comes up, right? Like, anybody who doesn't know, like, who's my mayor? That's what's going to pop up.
That's what's going to come up. And so, you know what? I really do think that he wants a different legacy, which who can blame him?
He wants a different legacy, which brings us to 2E, the National Western Campus Facility.
This is called, Mayor Hancock's self-esteem issues projecting onto us.
It's his vanity project, y'all. It's his vanity project. So what he wants to do is take a huge chunk of these bonds, and instead of putting it towards, say, like, housing, affordable housing, for example, he wants to build a Western complex, it's like a rodeo, where you would see like rodeos. Yeah, like we don't, like, no one is like, we really need this for our community and we're dying for this.
Denver needs a rodeo!
But he wants to name it after himself because a lot of mayors have huge egos, and before they leave office, if you don't know, this is Mayor Hancock's last term in office, he wants to name something after himself. Like Pena Boulevard, like it was Pena that was mayor, and he's like, we're gonna name something after me that will stand here forever,
like everybody's
and
gonna
everyone will
get a
know that I'm amazing
on my street.
Yes. So basically, Mayor Hancock needs to name something after himself before he leaves office to like put his like big dick stamp on it and like be like, I did good things, and I need to change my algorithm so when people Google Hancock, it's the Western Complex that comes up. Also, no one needs this. No one's asking for it. And okay, so the argument for it is like, oh, we'll like generate local business. Well, nowhere in the contract does it say like, building this Western Complex, we're gonna give contracts to local businesses from North Denver. No, it's not like, oh, we're gonna give it like PepsiCo, like they're going to get, I think, they're gonna be like, here's a contract, PepsiCo, for you to come in and then run this stadium.
Oh yeah, you do need to cover he has some shady relationships.
Yeah, he's like, developers, et cetera, et cetera. So $190 million to construct this, to name something after himself, and then, like, again, contracts to developers that he already is in bed with, and then, like, to probably big companies. I don't trust him to give it to local businesses. So that's, like, the only argument for it, and I don't believe him, and nowhere in this does it, like, ensure that it's going to go to local businesses. So I'm saying big fat fucking no to Hancock's vanity project that he wants before he leaves office to name something after himself. For $190 million, we don't need this. We can use it for something else.
Yeah, that's not a no. It's more of a hell no.
Yeah.
That was rated 7 out of 5.
Yes.
Petty LaBelle's on the petty point system. Moving over the whole rating. That's impressive. Even for Mayor Hancock, you did it. On to the next one.
Are we being long?
Listen, it's.
I hope you're hanging in there. The
Somebody-
people, 1.5 people that are listening.
At the very least, I know my mom will watch this.
Maybe
and
mine too.
And your mom might watch
Yeah,
this.
because she already voted. So.
And that's what matters. Is that if your mom doesn't show up,
You know.
what are we doing?
But we're talking about the ballot, so.
Okay, so 2F. 2F is also. So 2F.
I feel
I'll-
it's too about this.
I'll just give you the petty point system ahead of time. 6 out of 5 petty
6 out of
points.
5 petty points.
Yeah.
Okay, so personally, if this passed, I would be breaking the law. Just so you all know. So if you
So what
like
2F
me as a
is-
person, like, don't vote
Don't
for this
call the-
because I
Don't
will
call
be
the cops.
breaking the
Don't
law.
vote for this.
Yeah, don't report me. So
2F
this,
is. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No.
Tell my mom.
So earlier this year,
Tell my mom.
Miss Henderson, right? Isn't it?
She goes by. She's keeping Henderson.
All right.
She's a divorced
Miss Henderson, only one I'm talking to right now. So earlier this year, City Council voted to change some zoning laws, which included that legally more than 2 non-related adults could live in a house together.
Roommates, for example.
Roommates. Most roommates, a lot of times you're not related, and because housing and
Yeah,
paying
that's
rent in
creepy.
Denver is fucking insane. Like, it's fucking insane to live here.
Oh, I did see today average cost of rent in Denver for like 1 bedroom's almost $1,800.
Yeah, like, I don't make that, yo. Like, I don't.
$2,000.
Who's making that? I mean,
No
some
one.
people are, but not a lot
many
of people. So what we do is we live in like houses together. So zoning change said, like, you know what? Up to 5 people who are not related can live in a residence together, and that's legal. So
5
for example,
college,
right,
for example.
or like me, who has 2 roommates in a house. Like, there's 3 of us instead of 2. Whoever decided that they want this to pass was like, no, only 2 non-related adults can live together legally. I'd be breaking the law.
Good luck, everyone.
The other, should I go into the geo-detention, like, all
Yeah,
that
no,
stuff?
because this is important because it changes zoning. I didn't
Yeah.
know this. If it were to pass.
If it were to pass.
But we're saying
Um,
no.
So the other thing it would change, and I'm sorry to get in it, wait.
Go again with this. We're like more than halfway through.
Yeah, no, we're close. We're close.
So I
Like, hang
can't-
in there. We're real close.
The only reason why my mom's not watching the live right now is because she doesn't know how. So I
Yeah,
have to
my
show
mom's
her.
not on Instagram.
Yeah,
so,
see, they
yeah.
don't know how.
No.
But we'll share it later. We'll share it through other avenues.
So the other, getting in the weeds here with the group
With the
living
2F.
2F.
Yeah.
It also changes zoning in order to allow for people who are in halfway houses to live in parts of the city that aren't zoned just for industrial.
So this is people who are getting out of jail that
Yeah.
don't have to be forced to live in
Prison.
shithole areas of town.
like literally, we're talking like industrial areas where there is
like
no
just
housing.
like literally
there's
dumpsters,
no housing.
and then you can live next to a dumpster.
Yeah, and the reason why this even came about is because Candice Cdebaca, who's on city council, and I love her, and she's fucking champion. When she came into office, there's a company called the Geo Civic Group that is a for-profit company who runs detention facilities and for-profit prisons. She came into office and she's like, they're immoral. They don't provide health care. They treat their inmates horribly. Like, a plethora of human rights violations for the people that they have, like, that are in prison, that they weren't providing masks during COVID. They're not providing soap. Like, they're serving like moldy food. Like,
It's like worse than being on Survivor
Yeah, like
during a pandemic, and instead of cameras, it's prison. Like it's
like no one was arguing with her like that this company is horrible. Like publicly, if you were ever to like in office and say like Geo Civic Group is great, like people would cut you apart.
They would disagree.
But she did something about it. She's like, so the city of Denver is going to cut $10 million worth of contracts with this company for the halfway housing because we cannot give $10 million every single year to this company that's doing shady shit.
Not even their job.
Yeah, that's not even doing their job, right? And we're giving them millions of dollars every year. So she did that, which means that the housing facilities in these industrial areas that Geo Civic Group owned, they need alternatives. They need other housing, and so zoning needed to change.
In other areas, yeah.
Right. So instead of living only next to like the dog food factory, like you're gonna open it up for halfway housing to be in other areas of the state. Which, if you are for criminal justice, and this is where liberals come in, like liberals, I'm sorry, like you need to put your money where your mouth is, and you need to vote this way instead of just saying like, oh, we're so against companies like Geo and CoreCivic. Like you need to do the right thing, and rezoning needs to happen so that they're like, and no one's saying like you need to live with someone who just got released from prison. Like no one's saying that, but rezoning needs to change in order for them to figure out alternatives to giving $10 million fucking dollars to a company like CoreCivic and Geo Detention Facility. Geo Detention Facility also is ran out in Aurora, and that's the immigrant detention facility where they treat people like shit, like worse than dogs.
Oh, so we're not even touching Aurora, but we are going to talk about it right at the end because Aurora is very, very juicy on the tea. If you vote in Aurora, maybe we'll do another video.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Okay, 2G. Okay, cheers. We did it.
Cheers.
So, once again, 6 out of 5 on the petty point system scale because that's a shitty thing to do. So we are on 2G.
I would be breaking the law if this passed.
If you have a roommate,
Caitlin is illegally living in her residence.
Caitlin is a criminal, and if you have more than one roommate, so are you. So that's why you should vote no on that. Anyways, 2G. Oh, I have the note. Police responded poorly to the protests.
Yeah. So 2G is to make sure. So all right.
So we're voting. But the wording, some of the wording now gets like a little confusing. So we are actually voting yes on 2G.
Yes, 100% yes. Yes.
So 2G is basically bringing. It's not a third party, but it's not. Which one? Oh, I have 2G because we don't want the Hancock's BFF to monitor.
Exactly. We don't want the governor, aka Hancock, to personally pick their BFF to be the independent monitor for the Denver Police Department, right?
City council would choose it.
Yeah.
And vote yes.
Right. So like this is basically taking it out of the hands of the mayor and giving more access to the public and city council to appoint someone who oversees things like use of force by the Denver Police Department. Now, if you've been paying attention at all, where have you been? You know that our police department is fucked up and using use of force against people of color left and right without any consequence. We need an independent monitor that isn't in this corrupt, entrenched system that's going to be someone's buddy who used to be a police officer who's actually reviewing the DPD being like, no, actually y'all fucked up and you need to change.
That's called accountability.
Oh, and also every single person that is like, is the police that bad? Is it really that bad? You should read Nick Mitchell. He was the previous independent monitor that did a report on the George Floyd protests last summer. If anyone was out there, thank you.
Lost their eyes and got
majorly got they were shooting at people's heads. They were it was like a war zone. But independent monitor Nick Mitchell did a report and it was scathing. If anybody's interested, read his report. Independent monitor Nick Mitchell talks about how screwed up DPD was on excessive use of force just for the George Floyd protests and how it's insane how much they just like overtly were like, no, we can just shoot at people and, you know, civil rights aren't a thing. So yes, we want an independent monitor that isn't like going to be someone's buddy that's appointed. We want some oversight for that.
We would love that. We would love some type of accountability.
I have a lot of, I'm sorry I went on and on, I just have a lot of feelings about
No,
this.
don't be sorry, because I feel like Black people are getting murdered a lot more than
Yes.
everybody else, and maybe we should try to stop doing that.
Yeah. Fun fact, so I used to work for a civil rights law firm that we sued cops all the time, and one of my coworkers, he just, for funsies, pulled up 30 years worth of records for all officer-involved shootings in Denver, and not one single police officer was charged for anything.
Oh, maybe no. Maybe no.
30 years of police killings and not one person was charged. Things are starting to shift, like Elijah McClain, etc. But anyway, we need this.
Please vote yes. Please, hard please, vote yes. 2H. We are, 2H I called, who cares? Okay, so 2G on the, going backwards real quick, 2G on the petty point system, we're voting yes. It got 0 out of 5 petty points because we probably need that. Accountability is a good thing. And now we are on to 2H. Cheers. We did 2G. Whew, 2H
okay.
is called who cares?
Please stick with us. This shit's important, even though I'm
really-
ranting.
I hope that you're drinking like we are.
Yeah,
it
drink,
makes it
and then
bearable.
it'll be bearable.
Vino
Have
and
something else
voting.
in the background, I don't know. Okay, 2H was to change
We don't
the
need that
date
anyways.
of the election. Vote yes, it just helps civil servants with like bureaucracy
Their job
shit
is
and
hard.
administration. Their job's hard and it's like a quick turnaround, so it's changing the date. Just say yes, not a big deal.
2H is not even registered on the petty point scale.
Yeah.
Didn't register on it because just vote yes. Those people need help. Okay, so if you are in Denver, you may or may not have seen stuff. Like another thing too that I asked you is because I knew I was really confused on 301 and 302 or 302 and 303. But anyways, we're getting in the 300s. We are almost done.
I'm sorry,
Thank
guys.
God. I know that more people are gonna hopefully rewatch this than watching it live because you and I both don't even know how it's gonna end. But that's the exciting part. Initiated ordinance 300. I said, oh, my note is no because it's shady.
Yeah, you're right. It's shady. So basically, like the idea sounds good, but the people behind who
So
brought
it's the pandemic research. Sorry,
Yeah.
we should probably say what it is. So blah blah pandemic research is going to the University of Colorado, Denver. Sounds great.
raising marijuana taxes to
And
fund
of course-
pandemic research.
Of course, if you don't do any type of drugs at all, they're like, yeah,
Do
tax the
it.
marijuana people. And the marijuana people, of course, like don't love
like,
that.
no. What makes it shady? Also, okay, preface, I should have said this at the beginning. A great resource is the Denverite. They're a local publication. The Denverite's amazing. They have reviews of every single one of these ballot initiatives, and they try to be nonpartisan and just explain what it is. So Denverite is also an amazing, amazing resource.
Okay, I can tag them if they have an
Yeah,
Instagram.
tag
We'll
them.
tag them. We'll tag them.
Tag them.
But something else that you brought up, I know when we first went over this, was also where these
Yeah.
people are from. Okay.
Okay, so this is why it's shady. Where this came from was some Delaware registered political advocacy group, which basically just means like dark money
Delaware.
out of
The
Delaware.
first state.
Which is like, it's like, where are you? We're in Colorado. I don't
Who
get
thinks
it.
about Delaware?
I don't know why.
Yeah.
And then even like they're saying like money will go to the University of Colorado Denver, and UCD has publicly been like, we don't know why they did this. We're being neutral. I don't know what's
They're
happening.
like, we don't know who these people are.
Yeah, so it just sounds shady to me. I'm like, I don't get it. Especially since UCD is publicly. So like, who knows behind I feel like behind the scenes someone's making money. But publicly, they're like, we're neutral. We never talk to these people. We have no idea where this is coming from. So, like, we weren't asking for the money, and it's some Delaware-based group. So,
basically, this political Delaware
transparency.
group, this political Delaware group is trying to get in somewhere, and UCD's like, she doesn't even go here.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like,
We don't know her.
what? Like, we'll benefit for like they're voting for us, but she doesn't even go here.
She doesn't even go here.
Yeah.
So we are voting, but did I have yes? What? Right? Are we voting on
I'm
yes? or no?
voting no
No.
on that. 9 to 5 is voting no. So 9 to 5,
Right.
I leaned on hard again. They're
I don't
like
like
a housing
yes.
rights folks. Yeah, again, like follow money. Follow
Oh,
money.
no, you're right. I was looking at a different thing. I do have no because it's shady.
Because it's shady.
no.
Like, I'm like, I just don't. Transparency is always super important, and follow money. And I'm like, I don't get why a Delaware group would give a fuck about this.
Yeah,
so
no, they're
therefore, I feel like someone is gonna make a buck that shouldn't be. So voting.
It's
no.
a little bit more opaque than transparent. We don't love that. And I gave this either. It got 2 votes actually. It got either 0 out of 5 or 100 out of 5 penny points because we're not quite sure what's going on here.
Because we don't know what's happening
It's
behind
shady.
the scenes. So like, don't know. And like, is some altruistic person in Delaware just like, yes, Colorado
somebody's
needs
like,
to get
Colorado's really getting worked right now.
Right, but I doubt that. So probably 100. Like, but we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. You
Sam.
decide. Oh, someone's knocking on the door. Oh no, am I in trouble? 100, James. Okay, cheers. We got through 300. 301.
Whew, okay, guys.
Oh, I have yes, and then something is. Oh, this is the one that is
It's
really
complicated.
confusing
It's
for
confusing.
rhetoric. Oh, do we need more wine? You might have to explain it.
I
I can go get
mean,
some more wine.
Well,
I did
we
put
can
one
make
in the
it.
fridge, or we can get beers for ballots.
beer for ballots.
Yeah, let's get some beer. We'll get a beer for ballots. Got it.
All right. So here's the thing. So reading this, I was like, I don't understand this. What the hell? Again, looking to your resources and I hope. Hopefully we'll get to this at the end too. But like, everybody should be connected to their community enough to be like, I don't have the answer. Who do I ask? And like, kind of know the answer, or like tangentially know the answer. So I went to Brother Jeff. Brother Jeff is like a staple in 5 Points. He has a radio show, black man who's representing black community, who's getting pushed out of 5 Points for years and years and years through gentrification. So I went to him and his show to be like, what do I care? Like, how do I form an opinion on Ordinance 301, the one that would make it harder to build on Park Hill Golf Course, right? He had Lisa Calderon on his show, who...
Oh, Brother Jeff. That was in my
Brother
notes.
Jeff.
Brother Jeff is in my
Brother
notes.
Jeff.
We love you.
If you live in 5 Points,
I'll get
follow
tagged.
Brother Jeff. If you want to beat on what's going on in North Denver, if you're like either someone, no, just like everyone, but he's like represents black community who are getting really like pressed hard and pushed out of North Denver from 5 Points, and so he's like has a beat on what's going on. And he has shows very regularly.
Somebody watching, and please vote. Please
All
God.
right.
Please God, vote.
So, Brother Jeff said vote yes on 301. So I'm like, how do I make this short? So basically, Hancock administration, who's in deep with developers and like has a lot of like relationships with developers who have blown up Denver and pushed out a lot of people for like the highest dollar amount, and why we have a lot of unhoused
Why there's
folks
like
in Denver.
so many luxury apartments
Exactly,
that
that are
not
empty.
filled.
That are empty. So there's like this huge swath of land that this really wealthy person sold to the city of Denver. It was like the sweetheart deal, and like initially it said like it needed to be maintained as open green space. There's a term for this. It's probably somewhere here in my notes. But this is basically say like no, we don't need to maintain it as green space. It's going to be turned into like shopping malls and housing, and so like the pro people are like, but we need housing. It's like we don't need to build more housing. And like we there are so many open, vacant, nice luxury apartments. We don't need to build more housing. We need to get folks into housing that is low income. Here's another thing: is like affordable housing. When people say affordable housing, there's not a definition for it. So
well, yeah, because you're when the affordable. Sorry, I'm like I remember I applied and I qualified for affordable housing, and I was like, who is this affordable for?
No, affordable housing is like. On the Brother Jeff show, they were like, affordable housing is affordable housing for wealthy white people.
Yes.
Like, what's affordable for someone that has a job making like $60K plus a year versus someone who's not? So low income versus affordable housing. And also we need green space, like climate change, and we need green space. And that area is one of the last developed areas in
Especially
Denver.
in that area, yeah.
Like people need parks, people need green space. So basically it's
Have you ever looked at a tree when you're stressed out?
Yeah, like no, it's like
Why do we have
psychological.
plants?
We need it.
Why does everybody have plants in their house all of a sudden?
Yeah, houseplants. Millennials and Gen Z, we're all like houseplants.
We just need nature.
Yes. So, and most orgs that I'm like working with are saying to vote yes for this. So vote yes.
So you're voting yes because the rhetoric is in prohibiting the development.
Right,
Got
it's
it.
basically saying like, no, we need to keep this as green space instead of selling it off to developers. What then gets confusing is that 302 is based on 301, the ordinance that would accept Park Hill Golf Course from Denver initiated ordinance 301. Again, like a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo, vote no on 302, which is based on 301, because it would allow for residential and commercial development.
I've heard people's arguments were like, oh, Park Hill needs a grocery store, but then I was like, isn't that what that King Supers is? Right on.
Yeah,
Big Street?
like it's in, like the arguments to develop it. It's again, it's like the Western complex where it's like, oh, but this could provide jobs for people. It's like, but nowhere, unless it's in writing and explicit
That it's
for
local.
the right people. That's always the rhetoric, but how it plays out is it's sold off to the two developers, to the highest bidder. Like, unless it is very explicit, like, let's talk about specifics, unless the specifics are in there, unless equity is embedded in the ballot, which it's not, people are gonna get fucked over. So it's like, okay, you're saying like, oh, but we need housing. Like, unless you're explicit about who you're giving housing to, you're gonna give it to the highest bidder.
It's gonna
so
go
like,
to
fuck
not
that.
what you needed.
Right,
to.
like we have housing here in Denver. There are plenty of vacant apartments right now here in Denver that people aren't living in. It's low income that we need. It's people that can afford it that we need.
Okay. Well, 301 got 1 out of 5 petty points based on rhetoric, and then 302, I don't have notes for it, but I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5 because it's attached to something and it's stupid. Just vote no. Anyways, cheers. We have 2 more.
Cheers.
303.
All right,
This is almost the grand finale. I'm so
guys,
excited.
I'm so sorry that this is taking so long, and I have feelings about all of them.
Honestly, this one I have a
Yes.
big fat no because we started calling it the Karen camping bill.
This is the
Hashtag not
Karen
all Karens, but Karen in the cultural sense.
Yeah, this is a hashtag Karen right here. Like, this is the, like, if anyone is envisioning, like, who is Karen? Like, Karen wrote this bill. Karen wrote this fucking bill, y'all.
Karen wrote it.
No to 303. If you were, yeah, no.
So 303 is the camping bill. This is actually kind of insane. I hope that my phone battery lasts long enough.
Go for it.
So my understanding, please drink. My understanding for Karen camping bill is that you can basically, this is like very much like Texas flavor, civilian, taking the power into their own hands. So basically, Karen camping bill 303 is if you see somebody like camping, you see there's an unhoused person camping outside of your like neighborhood or whatever, or anywhere. It doesn't even have to be where you live. You can call the city of Denver, and they have
72 hours.
72 hours to remove this place, throw away this person, which
Yes, throw
is
away
like
this person.
pseudo maybe unconstitutional because I think like the state of Colorado, there's some judge that was like, no, you need at least 7
Denver.
days.
Yeah.
To evict somebody. And it basically is very much like emoji with the cell phone, like, what are you doing here? This is my private property. And the homeless and like unhoused crisis in Denver and a lot of cities like Austin is so much more complex than just calling the police on somebody.
So the idea of a Karen to me is like, I don't give a fuck about, I'm uncomfortable right now, and that's the only thing that matters. Like, maybe this
And I haven't
person is
considered
dealing with
anything else.
major systemic oppression and inequities, and that's why they're in this situation. But because I'm a Karen, I get a call. Okay, and not only do they call, and 72 hours, if the city of Denver doesn't, I liked your term, you said throw away this person. If they're not thrown away within 72 hours, they can sue for money.
Oh, that
They
was
get
the Texas
fucking
flavor.
money from the state. So instead of funding affordable housing, for example, or addiction services or mental health services, we're gonna fund to pay people that are suing the city of Denver who didn't throw away this person within 72 hours, which goes in direct contradiction of the 7-day notice that's needed to remove someone.
That's already law.
Like, a judge was like, you need to give 7-day notice to remove someone from where they're living, like these tents and camping, like these encampments that are existing because people cannot afford housing. It goes in direct contradiction of that. And then also, like, the city of Denver would need to pay out people who are suing the city of Denver who didn't remove and throw away these people within 72 hours.
On the ordinance, it also doesn't say the dollar amount, so I don't think you're going to be like Texas and getting 10,000. To my Repub friends, I'm sure this sounds very tasty,
Woo!
but yeah, it doesn't have a dollar amount, so you could get anywhere from $1 to $2. Who knows?
I don't even know.
It depends on the bond situation, and it's just
Karen.
It's just not for your soul.
Hashtag Karen. Like, Karens don't care about systemically why people are unhoused. They just don't want it to be seen. So it's like, just get it out of my view, have them move one block down. I don't care. I just don't want it in my door. I don't want it in my front door.
So we don't love this. We gave it 10 out of 5 Karens.
And then I want money because they didn't do it fast enough.
Because you didn't do it fast enough.
You didn't do it fast enough.
So this one we have actually put on a Karen system, 10 out of 5 Karens.
10 out of 5 Karens.
It's just not a good look, so vote no on that.
Fucking vote no on 303. If 303 passes, I'm gonna be like,
there are gonna be a
really
lot more
sad.
Karens with problems.
Like, my depression on local communities where I'm hanging on, y'all, and so 303 passes, I'm gonna be like real sad. real sad.
Yeah, the unhoused crisis is like so complex, and this is not the solution. So vote no on that. Okay, cheers.
Last one.
Woo! We did it, and then beers for ballots.
Yes.
304, I have no. And it says doesn't raise taxes, why cap it? So 304 is, this is the sales tax. Not sexy, not a good one to end on. We should end on Karen's, but we don't make the laws. We
don't.
follow
It's like in the wrong order. 304 is just like a no. Why are we lowering sales tax? It's gonna gut city government more.
Schools.
Right, like public schools. For those who are pro police, if anyone's on here, like, it's gonna gut your police,
the police
budget,
the firefighters. What else? The roads.
Yeah, like, we don't need to
infrastructure.
Again, we're not talking about raising taxes. We're talking about lowering.
Yeah.
them.
So definitely no, because it doesn't raise your tax, and we need better roads and stuff like that. So
here we are.
We did it. I voted.
We did it.
So
thank you all. For those who hung in there,
if anybody did, Caitlin, I want to thank you. I know that this all seems very bleak. A life in politics might seem bleak. Where is it that you find hope?
So I actually, again, this shit, like the local shit is where I find hope, because you actually know people, you know where they stand, you know why they're doing the things that they do, and there's more layers of accountability. Because again, like, they know people, you have actual relationships. Like, relationships are where I'm finding hope, because I'm like, everybody has people that they trust, or hopefully, right? Like, even if it's a couple of people,
you do. Yeah.
Right. Like, so local communities is where I find hope these days. I think nation states are trash. I think federal government is trash.
It's a little complex. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, a lot of stuff's bleak, but local communities is where I find hope. And so local elections where I know, like, Candice Cdebaca, for example.
We love you. I'm going to put her on my thing.
Yes, like, we got her elected, and she's in there, and she's fighting. She's fighting hard. She's kind of by herself right now. So elections like this, you voting for shit that she's making sure that it passes, give her the fuel that she needs to keep going and to keep fighting. Like changing the zoning rules, that was all her. That was her getting that passed, and now it's up for a vote for all of us in Denver. So that's where I'm finding hope, is local communities.
That's why this election is important.
More important, almost, I would say, well, yeah, in federal.
So vote. Here's a beer to your ballot, Caitlin.
Beer to the ballot.
Thank you for
helping
me vote.
Please vote. Tuesday, 7 p.m. Tuesday, 7 p.m. is the deadline.
Oh, yeah, we forgot to talk about that. Colorado's one of the best states for mail-in voting. I like a drop-off ballot. I will drop it off at my little
Can't mail it in anymore.
Okay, so cannot mail it in. We can only drop it off. If you need a ballot, where can you find it?
If you need a ballot, at this point, I think you need to go into your local voting station, which, because we're Colorado, there's a lot of them, unlike Texas where there's like 2 now. If you go, I think it's GoVoteColorado, or even if you
I
just,
saw that.
GoVoteColorado, it'll tell you where your local polling station is. And again, 7 p.m. this Tuesday, so we're like less than a week away. Please vote. Voter turnout is so low right now. It's so low. And again, but 65-year-old plus are voting. How connected, the like 70-year-olds that you know, how connected and how with it and understanding how the world is working.
Honestly,
like, they're the ones that are voting and deciding these policies.
Both my parents, my mom is 69, my dad is 75. They don't really necessarily participate in the world the same way that I do. And I guess I'll end this live, but the only thing scarier than Halloween happening right now would be them voting more than us. So go vote. Thank you for joining us.